It's a thing that should never have happened. I mean, it was a fire, it never was a fire.
It's one of these things I will never leave your memory. So it's a thing that will never leave your memory.
As I say, I don't dwell on it, but I never forget it. You just think what might have been, that's all.
There's some certain things that happens, I've just got to keep the heat.
Forgotten for 75 years, the tragic story of the Glen cinema disaster has been rediscovered. For the past year, the people of Paisley have been commemorating the 71 children who lost their lives on Hogmanay, 1929.
This is one of Scotland's worst cinema disasters that's never been retold. Nobody knows why. There were so many questions, and if you ask anyone in the street in Paisley, do they know anything about the Glen cinema? Everyone will say, yes, I have a relative that was involved, or I know somebody that was in the cinema that day.
Today, what remains of the Glen cinema lies hidden behind the walls of a furniture shop in Paisley's town centre. Martin Robertson, from a cultural planning company, is leading the project to commemorate the tragedy.
You're actually standing on the original stage of the Glen cinema. This pillar here would have formed one side of the proscenium arch for the stage, and just to my right would have been an orchestra pit where the musicians would have played while reels were being changed over. Above me is a false ceiling, which covers up all the ornate ceiling that remains. It's very difficult to access, but is in very, very good condition up there. This is what's left of the Glen Cinema building.
Hogmanay, 1929. The women prepare the houses while the men finish their shifts at the factories. With no rest from the mills for Christmas, everybody is looking forward to the holiday.
First of all, being Hogmanay, my mother was at the bank, my father was sleeping because he was night shift. And there was a girl stayed in the next close, she was about 12, and she used to take the younger kids to the matinees.
I mean, like, someone could go every Saturday and but I couldn't go every Saturday, you know, we couldn't afford it.
I get up in the morning, get my breakfast, washing all that. You always have to ask your mother, any dearie George's mother? She said, up in the scullery, down the stairs, along to go Grace store, held them over to the girl serving behind the counter, gave me the money, that was me got my money for the picture.
We looked to see what was on in the cinema and looked to see which was the most gory, the bloodthirsty. So we thought the Glen was going to be the cinema for us that day.
You come into the Glen, you come in with me, the grand entertainment. The church is just one day, the hall is nice and cosy, the show is good they can, 1,000 marbles on the front, down in the Glen.
Nearly 1,000 children queue outside the Glen this afternoon. Brothers and sisters, friends and neighbours, the children of Paisley wait in line. Inside, the chief projectionist loads the first reel of the cowboy flick, Desperado Dude. At 2 p.m, the doors open and the children pile in.
As you went in the door, in that gate, now in the left-hand side there was an old lady, and she had a big orange box. That's where the money was put. You in with your penny or tuppence. I think it was tuppence.
So you either went into the area or up to the gallery. So we went into the area.
It was packed with kids. Yeah, there always were at any time, but that day in particular, it really was mobbed with children.
There were girls there with kids in their arms, girls at 10, 11, 12, with children in their arms.
Robert Pope was 7 at the time of the disaster. He returns to the Glen to find where he was sitting that day.
Now this was a cinema. I was practically sitting here, and there was an opening door, entrance door there, and there's an entrance door there. So you just all blared and shouted and seen your pal, "Hello, Willie," or "Hello, Johnny." And then the only time you knew the picture was going to start was when the attendants came down and started putting out all the lights round about. And then the kids were, "Hey, here the picture's going to start."
The projector is run and the film begins. Heroes battle villains and the great American plains flood the Glen.
When it came to the goodies and the baddies, we either cheered or booed.
You know, if it's a cowboy film, they're all up jumping and shouting at the Indians and the cowboys and that. These matinees were pandemonium.
After 15 minutes, the first reel comes to an end. The young assistant, James McVeigh, takes the 1,000-foot reel to the rewind room.
In those days of silent cinema, right through until 1950, the film stock was of nitrate material. Now, nitrate is a cousin, shall we say, of gun cotton. And we all know how quickly gun cotton can go up. He was probably doing what we call spooling off. In other words, the film had been shown and it was being put back into its can.
The 15-year-old puts the metal can down on top of a battery. Within seconds, the film starts to smoke.
If the film had just come off the projector, whenever it went onto a can which had been heated up by touching the contacts of a battery, the thing just smoked.
Realizing the danger, McVeigh grabs the smoldering film and makes for the nearest exit. Unable to open the door, he drops the can in the hallway and rushes to get help.
The smoke started increasing. He went back and told the chief projectionist. The chief projectionist told him to make his way to the manager's office at the opposite end of the building and tell him what had happened.
Hurrying back, the manager forces the door open and kicks the burning reel outside. Inside, the smoke has reached the auditorium.
The picture was the villain had captured, as we see, I think it's Ken Maynard's girlfriend. He had took her over his hill right down into the big green valley. Then over the top comes a big white horse, and just as that, pew, everything goes black.
Of course, we all kind of jumped up to see what it was.
You could smell the smoke. Oh, there's no doubt about it, you could smell the smoke.
Hazy, dark and white and that.
It was like celluloid burning.
I heard someone shouting, "Fire!"
The air is thick with acrid fumes, and the cry of fire quickly spreads around the cinema.
All the children started getting panicky, and they started running, and they were running always.
Kicking, shouting, swearing and everything going on. Mommy, Daddy and all that stuff. I said to myself, well, I'll get down these stairs fast, and I did that.
You wouldn't have stopped them. Nothing would have stopped them. I mean, it was a stampede for the exit.
Most of the children head to the back of the cinema away from the smoke. Reaching the exit, they are confronted with a locked gate.
I went to the main big gate, and I seen it was no use trying to get out. I knew it was locked. I rattled it and I just run back.
So they were piling up behind the wire door, you know, and I just sat still. I said, there's no chance, because they're coming down from the balcony and they're coming from the pit. I said, and they're all going to be crowded. I just took it into my own mind that there was no use in me running, because I wasn't going to get out.
The children continue to pour into the small passageway. Those at the back are unaware there is no way out.
Children don't know what they're doing, you understand? Shouting, pushing, kicking, all thrusting each other, calling them, grabbing you. Well, there's older people than me there. You understand? Bigger people than me, heavier people than me.
If there's maybe, say, 50 or 60 kids in front of you trying to get out, and they're all piled up, and you can't get out, what are you going to do? You're going to shout and bawl and scream, push and shove, you know? I mean, it was every man for himself.
At 2:30, the screams reach outside. The streets are packed with busy shoppers, and within minutes the fire brigade are alerted. Alexander Folds was on his way to Barhead when he passed the Glen that day.
I was coming up past Smith Hills, and that side of the picture house was empty. There were no houses, no shops or anything like that. It was all big spare space, and there were a fire engine sitting there. So we're being nosy. I went along the terrace and I met two policemen. And the police were here. They said there was a fire here, Alec. He said, but the door, there was a door here, but he said it's locked. Can't you get in the bloody thing? So, well, what about that ledge there? Give me a punt up. I said, okay then. They gave me I'm now on top, and I booted all the glass in the window. And I dropped down 5 feet into it, and I got a shock in my life.
Because we were all vomiting, peeing and different, urinating, all doing that fright, fear. I knew myself there was someone must be dead. I knew they must have been dead.
Kids were piled high on the top of one another, and they were all shouting at me, Mr. help us, get me out, Mr. And the wee girls were hysterical. So we'll get you out as quick as we can. Take your time, then stop shouting.
Outside, a crowd starts to gather. As firemen enter through the smoke at the front, a policeman tries to break the padlock at the back.
And I knew there was a toilet and there was a glass window. So I said, well, that's my best bet. So I went into the toilet and I jumped up in the pan and I said, right, you at the back, hold me. And I leaned back and I had my boots on, so I just my boot straight through the window.
I felt myself getting lifted and carried. And the next thing was, I discovered I was getting carried out to the entrance.
So the next thing I felt somebody gripping my foot and saying, get your foot back in. This is the police.
After several attempts, the policeman manages to break the lock.
I'm running to the right for that door just about a second. Just out. And that was it. Run away along the street. See the cars, you know, I'm doing poles and all the firemen all running about. I never bought it, just run on home. Didn't ask for help or mercy.
There were actually, some of the kids was, when the firemen get in and they were separating the bodies and that, you know, at the gate, the lattice gate. There were some of the kids with their hands in the lattice gate like that, standing, dead, pressed with the pressure.
The scenes outside the back of the cinema are now chaotic. The crowd pulled the bodies of the children out onto the street. Many have been suffocated, and the firemen desperately try to resuscitate them.
Oh, the place was chock-a-block, mobs and buses and tram cars getting stopped and kids getting packed into them, a whole lot of them. The word did get round, some kids were dead, nobody knew exactly. Everything was turmoil, you know, uncertain, all that. And I witnessed men running down carrying kids and their arms up to their uncertain, all that. And I witnessed men running down carrying kids and their arms up to the infirmary.
As the firemen clear the cinema, they find the inside torn apart. In their panic, the children have ripped doors off hinges and smashed every available window. One boy, however, has remained oblivious to the whole event.
Over the brow hill came the white horse, and the minute the white horse came to the top of the hill, phew, everything went black. What happened then, I don't know. I just sat in my seat, something took over my body, and I just sat there, never knew a thing about me. People must have been rushing round about me and all that, but never heard a thing. I was hypnotised. I just sat there, just where that steel picture is, just looking like that. Just like this. You know, all of a sudden this, Mister, what are you doing sitting there, sonny? Oh, wait a minute, the picture coming on, mister. So, as he said, you go right home to your mother straight away, because, well, he knew what had happened. I've always believed that somebody up there is looking after me. That day of the tragedy, my guardian angel took over my body and kept me seated there and kept me safe.
That evening, those who gather for the usual celebrations briefly shake hands before dispersing quietly. Shortly after 12 o'clock, the town is deserted. 71 children have died, and many more lie injured in hospital.
I think there was just complete shock when people learnt of the cinema disaster, and as a result of that, letters and telegrams came flooding in from all over the world. Among the correspondence, the ones that I find most evocative and most distressing in many ways is the fact that there are a number of people writing to the Provost of Paisley, actually offering their children. Kentish Town, London, to the Mayor of Paisley. Dear Sir, is there a mother in your stricken town who would be willing to adopt a little boy of 3 months? I am his mother and cannot keep him myself, and would be glad to find a good home for him. Yours faithfully. The fact that, that the mothers are prepared to see an opportunity whereby their children will perhaps go to a better home is, I think, quite remarkable and quite distressing, really.
Friday, the 3rd of January, 1930, the day of the funeral. Thousands line the streets. The Boys' Brigade lead the procession past the Glen. In the Abbey, the Reverend Father tries to console the bereaved mothers. Out at Hawkhead Cemetery, the men of Paisley dig a mass grave.
I never forget it. Because my parents, of course, they have gone long ago. And where I go and visit them, the cinema children are in the next row, and the monument is at the top of their row. So if I'm going for water, I have to pass that to go up to the fountain. And coming back, your eyes are on at the time, and from where I'm doing my flowers, I can look right over to the monument. So I never forget it. As I say, I don't dwell on it, but I never forget it.
In May 1930, the manager of the cinema was tried for negligence and found not guilty. At the trial, none of the children were asked what they had witnessed that day.
We were young, and in them days, it was a matter of you could be seen, but you weren't allowed to be heard. Keep your mouth shut.
Well, there was somebody was never brought up. Nah, just always going to be forgotten. Never brought up.
At the government inquiry into the disaster, it was concluded that the blocked exit, overcrowding, and the lack of attendance were the main causes of the tragedy.
I mean, when you think the amount of kids that was in there, starting for the ages of months old up to about 11-year-old, 12-year-old, and one attendant. What can you do about that? Nothing. Do you think one attendant could have stopped the kids for rushing that gate? No way. Even the Black Watch wouldn't have stopped them. But still, it's a long while ago now. It's in the past, but it's always in the memory. Always will be.
As a result of the Glen cinema disaster, safety regulations were introduced in all cinemas across Britain, ensuring the tragedy of Hogmanay 1929 would never happen again.
For the first